Okay, in this video I'll be doing a quick overview of my level for top-down shooter. The player starts looking to the right to indicate which way the player should move. And in the first zone, the player starts in a battlefield where the player is obviously the lone survivor and the last to complete their mission of getting to the enemy base. Now, excuse me, I do have a cold, so I will be coughing quite a lot. These wrecks, I will be adding a particle effect to them, smoke and some fire, just to add some realism to them. And this first zone is designed to get the player familiar with the movement mechanics and aiming of the turret. Now there are some obstacles such as the water and the lakes, where if the player does go into them, they will die. This is just to add a bit of threat to the area. It's meant to be quite simple and slow introduction to how the game works really. Once the player navigates through this path, they will come to a ramp, and this will take the player up to the main plateau of the level where most of the level is played, and this will transition them into the second zone. That cacti isn't meant to be there. In this zone is the first zone that the player will encounter combat. Along this path, the player will start seeing some more architecture, and they'll come to this deviation of the path, and the player will have to go up here to find a ancient ruin. Excuse me. Here, this road will be heavily guarded by a number of turrets. These turrets will be using all types of weapons, from the cannon, laser, and the missiles. Once here, the player will notice that they can't actually progress any further, and this area will act as the first checkpoint. There won't be any armor pickups here, any health or ammo pickups, so the player will have to return to the main road and continue down as instructed by the sign. Along this road, the player will come to a small path where the edges almost meet the road, so the player will have to carefully navigate this path. If they fall down, they will start taking damage from a pain volume, which will be added in the next milestone. Once navigated, the player will come to the next zone, which is the town. Now this town is built with many same buildings, which is to create blocking line of sight. So this town is patrolled by a number of enemy patrols, using all the weapons from the cannon, laser, and turrets, missiles again. Except these patrols will be less armored, so they have less health, and the player will be able to dodge these enemies by navigating through the buildings. As the player progresses, they'll eventually come to a checkpoint, which is just around these two corners, signaled by another deviation in the road. This path will be then guarded by more turrets, and once the player reaches the end, they'll be rewarded with another checkpoint, health and ammo. Returning back to the road, they'll continue through the town, again fighting more patrol enemies. Eventually they will come to another deviation in the road, similar to the first one, where the player will encounter more turrets, only there will be no checkpoint at the end of this path. It's merely just to deviate off the main road, add a bit of variation. In combat, the player can explore a little bit and come to some ruins, but they offer no effect. The vegetation in the map currently has no collisions, but I'm planning to get that fixed for next milestone. It was working, however, it seemed to have just stopped by itself. Once the player has finished navigating through the town, they'll enter the next into the next zone, which this road will be patrolled by a number of malfunctioning patrols, which will have a much smaller threat radius than the normal patrols in this town. But their patrols will be randomly assigned, basically, so they'll be going across the road at different intervals, and the player won't really know where they are, where to aim to shoot them. This will make them a little bit harder or a little bit easier, because they won't be shooting back, but the player won't be able to hit them as easily as the normal patrol turrets. Continuing on, the player will come to some generators, which are here. These are just remeshed DPS boxes, not DPS, target boxes, with their health displayed, so the player actually knows they are dealing damage to them and that they are meant to be destroyed. Once destroyed, it will raise this bridge. This mechanic will be added in the next milestone, so the player can actually navigate, because again, the water will destroy the player on impact through a kill volume. Once crossing, there'll be more malfunctioning patrols. This is to show that they are getting further and further away from civilization and into a hotter and hotter desert. They're meant to be sandstorms and such. They've gotten lost and malfunctioned from the sand in their circuits or whatever. Down here, the player will turn, following the road right. The vegetation will disappear slightly. This is to show that the player is going transitioning into the deep desert, where it's much hotter, so there's much sparser vegetation. If the player deviates from the path for whatever reason, they'll start taking damage. Normally this is quite far away from the road, but it'll be much closer here, just to add a bit more threat and to stop the player exploring, really. There is an ancient pyramid here, just to add a bit of, so the player can explore a little bit there and find a bit of architecture. Carrying on, more patrol turrets, patrol enemies. In this zone of the hot desert, we'll have normal patrol patrolling units before the player comes to the second ramp leading back down to the original plane. Later on in the second milestone, the player will hopefully get a notification once crossing this path to say that a new enemy has been spotted, and that they'll need to collect ammo specifically for it, which is the weapon 2, which is the third weapon. As weapon 1 is the autocannon, weapon 2 is a laser, and weapon 3 is a missile launcher. The first ammo in the town will resupply weapons 0 and 1, the autocannon and the laser, just in case the laser's been fired, because it's not meant to be designed for taking out enemies, but I'll show you what it's designed for later. So the player here will continue down this path and collect an ammo drop here that will resupply weapon 3, so they can return back to the main road and progress. So in this area there'll be a new enemy, which is a helicopter, which is a patrolling enemy, but once it has detected the player in its target sphere, it will break its patrol and hunt the player down until either it or the player is destroyed. So to kill it, the player will need to use weapon 2 to fire missiles up at the helicopters to destroy them. So this area is leading up to the main enemy base, so it will be heavily guarded by helicopters, turrets and patrols, each with the same health as normal, and different variety of weapons. Once the player has continued fighting through this area, they will come to yet another bridge with more generators to destroy, to once again raise it. This will then be the end of this zone. There'll be a few more currently on the wrong weapon. So to destroy these generators, the bridge will raise up. Because of the camera angle, the player will be able to see this raise up a lot easier than the original. I've changed the camera angle because I feel it works better with this game, rather than following the tank upwards, so to speak. Eventually the player will carry on to this winding road and come to the enemy base, which will be heavily guarded outside as well as in. So these doors will be needed to be destroyed with the bunker buster laser cannon, which is weapon 1. So there will be 6 doors, and the laser cannon has 6 shots. So hopefully the player will conserve their ammo, but it will be supplied just in case they have shot. These are doors have quite a lot of health, so they will be able to, if they haven't got enough ammo, they will be able to shoot them with the auto cannon. It will just take a lot of time. Once they have been destroyed, they'll come in and find a lot of enemy turrets around. Now these are boss turrets, so they'll have twice as much health and fire a lot faster, so the player will need to navigate and dodge a lot more, as well as taking them out before destroying another door into another room, much the same, but they'll continue around to find more turrets and another door. The player can then go down and start exploring the base, just to find yet again more enemies to destroy, so that they'll have to navigate back up through another door, another room with more turrets, before navigating around to find the end of the level, which is a lift which will go down and carry on to the next level. Thank you.